Mercury's gets another one. Wait, they didn't see him. He didn't see Sib.
Why is Mercury two-piecing
Shotzi
people
didn't see
across
him?
the map, bro?
Wait, Shotzi didn't see him? Oh, okay, yeah. Sib's last one live. And he's in this one. Yep, this is it. This is over. And he's got a sniper too, so he's done for.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode of the Borito Talk podcast. I am your host, Borito, the number one CDL ESPN analyst / content creator in the world. And today is a Tuesday that you're getting this, not on a Monday, because, you know, long weekend, had no time to record on Sunday while watching the thing, was all energied out. I wanted to try to power it out, but I knew it'd be like 2.5 hours. Had no food in the house. Had to go get food. Was just raw dogging it all weekend watching the Monster Tourney. And I was going to do this tier list obviously way before the Monster Tourney, but I decided to wait till all the rosters were officially announced, give them some time to play. The Monster Tourney is not really going to influence my decisions that much. I already kind of had an idea of where I was going to tier everyone. And this is pretty much like my tier list prediction for like the whole year, I guess. I can't say it's like a tier list for like half the season that I'm going to do another one. I don't do like the midway ones. I'll leave that up to other people to do. I'm just going to do this one. Maybe if some drastic stuff happens, I'll do a tier list. But here I'm going to do the tier list for all 12 CDL teams going into the Black Ops 7 season that starts December 3rd. So, I mean, we're just going to get right into it. Who should I go with first? I'm going to start somewhere in the middle. I'm going to start with Miami. Let's start with Miami Heretics. Didn't get a chance to see them play with their full roster because Trakes was flying to America, so he couldn't play in the Monster Tourney. So they had Eric Boom, of all people, sub in, who, you know, Eric Boom's history on Miami Heretics is not a good one. Never really does good whenever he plays for Miami Heretics. This weekend was absolutely no different. But I still have a general idea of where I think Miami's going to be, and I think they're going to be in the B tier. A little bit of a downgrade from Riyadh to Trakes, but that's very unfair. And we're talking about two different dynamics of players here. So they're keeping medals, which is a choice of choices. They really are gung-ho on keeping this Spanish core team. And, you know, they ran out of people in the country of Spain, so they picked the next best thing, a Spanish-speaking player, which is good enough, and they picked Trakes. Trakes is a very, very fast player, which is completely different from Riyadh. Riyadh isn't slow, but he's a lot more of an island player, a flank player, like a pinch player. He made a lot of big plays for Miami. Trakes is like very much more direct. Which means it's going to be an interesting dynamic because usually Metal's a bit more direct. Maybe they're both just direct. I'm curious who's going to be more of the route taker. Probably going to be Trakes because they probably just want him to fill right into Rial's. And I actually have a lot higher hopes for Trakes than I thought. I remember doing like a review stream about him, and I thought he was an AR, but he's an SMG. And I think he has the potential to be very good. He hasn't had a lot of competition in his whole Call of Duty career. He's been playing in Latin America Challengers. And the competition there isn't that great. Came over to NA last year, started playing with Neum. He was playing with all different types of Challengers players. Was doing all right. Didn't really light the world on fire. But his interactions are high. His kills are high. And now I'm imagining him in a team with Rancor Super. I'm expecting him to do way better. He has a good SMG that can enable him. So I'm expecting Miami to be good, not to peak the A tier, but to be on the higher echelon of B tiers. I think that's around where I would have him. Yes. So I'm going to keep Miami there. Next up, let's do Cloud9. So Cloud9 just played this weekend. and they blew away expectations of what I had. But I'm not going to let that influence my decision, okay? This is a very good team, okay? It's a very good team. So I was not a fan of the roster, and it's not like the personnel. I kind of feel it's just like a weird dynamic with not with Mac and Afro, but kind of, because in order for Mac to be like the best, he has to be like the playmaker. Kind of feels like Afro's the playmaker. And the ARs, it's Vivid and it's Beans. And both of them have the knack of being very inconsistent. Reese, I think, is a lot more consistent and an inconsistent player. I know that sounded like a tongue twister. I mean, Reese could look like he's doing bad, but he's actually doing so much on the map, if that makes sense. That's just what I feel about Reese. Beans, I'm very unsure about. I was very high on him. The year on Ultra really deterred me. I'm not going to lie. I spoke his praises. It was basically set up for him on a plate to do good on that Ultra team. With the pieces around him, Joe Kleenex are literally sprinting in first. Joe's literally on the hill. Inside's playing slow. You're just slotting in with the AR role. The fact that he knew he was like a slower AR, playing with a slower AR, the fact that he didn't know to speed up or like just like do more. He did have a lot of high damage, but like watching him a lot, it felt like a lot of times he was sort of kill whoring, but like not in a good way. It's like a little bit more slow play your life kind of vibe, as opposed to Scrap, for example, who's literally sprinting at people. That's the role that I felt Beans needed to have, and Ultra Polka did way better. A lot of people could argue with me, including actually never mind. Actually, no. A lot of people could argue with me, but I'm going to stand on my business there. I have Cloud9 for the year. Like, I really want them to be good because I really want Afro and Mac to do good. Afro, Mac, and Vivid. I really want to do well. Afro proved himself in EU Challengers, and dude, imagine not scrimming any NA teams. You're basically scrimming EU players all day, every day. You show up to LANs, and you're literally showing out, playing against way better competition, not even practicing against them, and you're still like looking like a superstar. They even won one LAN on challengers. They came close in like the others and made very deep runs. So very impressive. He did it with Eric Boom on his team, by the way. So yeah, I mean, Afro, very high on. Really want him to do well. Really want him to succeed in the league. I really do, like, wholeheartedly. Max, another player, too good for challengers. Just needs to figure out a way to stay consistent to be able to stay in the league. Reese keeps getting done dirty. Hopefully he's able to find success with Mac. They're clearly like a duo there. This seems like a very sneaky team. And honestly, originally I was going to have them in the D tier. I think maybe like the tourney kind of influenced me a bit. And actually just knowing that Afro is going to be the Afro that I saw last year, I'm going to move them up to the C tier. Like the D and the F tier are reserved for some people that you guys are going to see later. So up next, who should I do next? God, we're getting down to the wire here. So Boston Breach had a very unfortunate weekend in this monster tourney. They got double OFR. They lost round one of winners, lost losers round one, and they were bounced out. We didn't even get to see them play. They were gone so fast. Like, it just like blinked. I had my breakfast. They're already out of the tourney. I was like, whoa. But I'm not going to let that influence me. This is a very good team. How they were able to get nasty is beyond me. How nasty they ended up on a better team is beyond me times two. A very good team. They replaced Awakening, who was an anchor on the team in a bad way. But they kept Cammy, who I'm still not quite sure on. Everyone's saying Cold War Cammy, return to Cold War Cammy. Guys, that's 1 year. He had one good game, and that was it. And everyone's just saying he needs to return to Cold War Cammy. His literal one good game. His literal one superstar game. And everyone's thinking, oh, Cold War Cammy, Cold War Cammy. It was just one good game, and then he's been average ever since. He was average before that. He was average after that. It was one good year. I think if they replaced him, I would have this team way higher, but I'm still so high Purge and Snoopy. The fact that they're still teaming together, honestly, is like very good for Purge, very good for Snoopy, because who knows who else would have ended up on Boston if Purge was not there. It's very good for each other. I always thought that Purge needed to take another step up. I'm hoping he's able to take it after this year, or maybe they just have a good year. They're going to play again. But Purge is a player who I have very high expectations on in the future to like do better. I wanted to see him team with Kemi. I think like their personality dynamic would be very good, but that's probably not going to happen unless Kenny gets bopped this year. And then, you know, if Kenny ends up, okay, this sounds crazy, but now that I'm thinking about it, like let's say LAT does not win champs this year, which like they probably won't. Imagine if Kenny now gets beep-doo-doo bopped off the Thieves, ends up on Boston. Kenny, Nasty, Purge, and Snoopy doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound too bad. But that's just me. Where do I have Boston? I obviously have him higher than Cloud9. I kind of want to put him in the B tier, but because of Cammy, I'm going to put him in the C tier. I just can't. Just Cammy, man. Cammy's going to be an anchor on that team, but Boston's going to be a very good team. Like, I'm very tempted to put him in the B tier. I'm not going to lie. I'm really tempted. Like, Boston Breach, with the pieces on that team, there's no way they should not do well. Like, just the SMGs alone should carry a lot. I may come back to that one, but for now I'm going to have them in C just because of the people I'm going to have in B. It's not going to make sense to have Boston on the same level as them, which is why I created the C tier. So up next, we're going to do the Royal Ravens. Had a pretty decent showing this weekend. Craze and Lurks have a dynamic issue. I'm not sure if it's only me that thinks that. Either one does bad or the other does bad, and one does good and the other does bad. You know, it's like that type of dynamic. Both of them are pretty much almost the same player. I like how they both play fast. Lurks is actually crazy at this game. Like, he actually looks insane at this game. I may have been wrong about him. I'm not going to lie. But he's an SMG. He's not an AR, which is great. It's Nero, so that's good. I was questioning his decision making. It was not the greatest, but I mean, very early on, he's looking very good. Let's see how he does when the game evolves. Slasher is actually keeping pace. He's actually not being an anchor on this team, which is very great to see. And Craze is a flippity floppity fish on the map. He is literally sprinting and flying and headbutting things. If he just, like, I like the pace he's playing at. I never want any player to slow down, but if he just slows down just a tad bit and preems like some stuff a bit more, he could actually be crazy. He's still thinking it's challengers, the way he's sprinting around, just thinking he's gonna just like have his way on the map. It's a little bit different in the Pro League. Just, I'm not saying slow down a bit more, but just preem stuff a bit more. You can't just like run around. It's not gonna work. Where I have this Ravens team though is the D tier. I feel like they're going to be very consistent, and it kind of feels weird to have Cloud9 and Ravens on two different levels. I kind of just want to move Cloud9 in the D tier because that's where I had them originally. That's kind of tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to let one Monsters 75k tourney influence me though. You know, I'm just never going to let that happen. I'm just not going to let that happen. And that would influence me. So I am going to keep Ravens in the D tier. I feel they have good players though. Slasher, Nero, Craze, Lurks. I just feel like the dynamic there's a dynamic issue, and I'm not sure if it will be solved. And Nero is actually very good with the AR. I think him and Slasher are like a very underrated AR duo. I'm not gonna lie, but it's like they have good players, they have good pieces, but for some reason, as a quartet, as a four, it just does not feel right. It feels like there's something. It feels like the chem is just way off. Like, I can't see Craze and Lurks. Like, I just don't see that chemistry there. I don't see the chemistry with Nero in them. I just don't see that whole chemistry, and it could go really bad. And it looks like a team that just might do bad, and then, you know, like they just kind of like give up type of stuff. So I'm gonna leave them there. And I was kind of playing around if I should have like two teams in the F tier. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going there right now. Okay, I'm going there right now. Up next, we are going to do Vancouver Surge. And I am going to put Vancouver in the F tier. And I was going to put him in the D tier before, but after thinking about it, there's just no way I cannot put this team in the F tier. You have Legend, who has dynamic issues, made a whole video about that. Highly recommend you go check it out. Very good documentary thinking piece, not going to lie. They have good pieces. Same thing with Ravens. They have good pieces, but are they going to be able to put it all together? So you have Legend, who for some reason is gung-ho on using the AR. Immediately there's some pacing issues. The immediate pacing issue is that Legend's too scared to do stuff. He's hesitating a lot, and he's having way less interactions than everyone on his team, and he's getting cooked. He needs to realize the AR is not for him. I know there's like some sort of a rumor. Someone said that he wants to run the AR, but the AR is not meant for him right now. That's something you need to develop after you just got to put a sub in your hand. The player you were in Halo is a player that ran around, playing objective, running in people's faces. That screams SMG to me. You need to run the SMG. Him and Abe on the SMGs would be crazy. But right now, the dynamic issue, I'm sure they'll fix it because I would hope after they see. Abe is literally doing everything and everyone else is playing slower. That's what it feels like to me. Abe is literally always in the mix. He's popping pieces, and there's no one there to follow up and keep the pressure going. Everyone else is a lot slower. Lunar's like the main AR on the team. Gwyn is supposed to be like the flex AR, but he's a little bit of a kill whore, so he kind of does play a little bit slow, kind of plays a little bit selfish sometimes. I don't even like watch Lunars. I probably should watch more, do my due diligence. I'm probably going to do that during this 2-week break, but I'm just not high on him at all. And then you have Legend, who's running a third AR, and they just look really weird having 3 ARs and then Abe sprinting around doing everything. The dynamics fucked up. I'm convinced half the people on this team are on the team just because, it was like no choice, but it's like, I'm sure they knew a brand new player coming in. Granted, he's a Halo World Champion, that there's going to be issues. You're basically teaching someone from ground zero how to play COD on the highest level fundamentally, and it all looks wrong. I would not be surprised if there's roster changes here. I would not be surprised. Somewhere in the season, there's roster changes, and there probably will be. So, yeah, I have him in the F tier. The whole dynamic is completely off. I'm sure they're probably going to stay down there. This is definitely going to be a learning curve, a growing year for Legend, which could be good for growth because Joe DeCease had the exact same year at MW2 when they picked him up from LAG Academy, got torched for the rest of the year, and that was MW2. Then MW3, he's on... I think he was on LAT, and then he's on LAT, not doing the best, goes back down to Challengers, comes back in. He's incredible. BO6, incredible, the best Harpoon player in the year. Now he's looking like a superstar. Sometimes all you need is that one bad year. It can't go any worse. He's getting a whole year shooting against pro players. Vancouver clearly has an idea to develop this guy and turn him into a superstar. Otherwise, because Vancouver was trying to cut budgets, this roster was not probably a well thought out roster. It was probably just the roster. I mean, they're able to get Abe, who I think is going to be a top 3, top 5 player in the league in a few years, top 5 SMG for sure by next year or even a couple years. So the whole dynamic's messed up. It's so funny because I talk about this in the videos all the time that it's hard to yap about it even more here. But yeah, Vancouver is in the F tier for sure for me. And now we're going to go to Rocker. Let's go to Rocker. Let's leave all the good teams for last. There's actually one team in there. I'm going to do Rocker up next. Rocker had a very good showing at this tourney over the weekend. We had people living up to expectations. We had people showing the old version of themselves that people always thought they were, aka Skies. Kremp, another player. I talked about it last year. You go back on my last year tier list, talking about Kremp on Cloud9. I'm thinking in the next year or two, this guy's going to be a top SMG player. The skill is there. It's all about him just putting it together with the decision making. This weekend was a very good glimpse. His engagements are there. He's a very, like, he has takeover ability. Cramp has takeover ability. He is such a skilled player. It's all about the decision making. Same thing with Nero. Nero's got the pace, all about the decision making. Cramp, another year to develop, get better. He had that year on Cloud 9. He has another year with Rocker with now Looney and Skies, veteran players around him, help him get better. Mamba, a lot to prove. Very fast on the AR, which is great. Who the heck's their last guy? Estriel. High engagements as well. I am not gonna let this tourney influence me though. Okay, I'm not gonna let the tourney influence me because of the people I have in B. You guys are gonna see. I'm gonna have Rocker in C. I may switch that around. I think Boston's actually gonna be better than Rocker. They're just gonna be a team in the mid pack that beats other teams, but they may have the opportunity to upset people in the B tier. But after it gets that step higher, I mean, we could see upsets. We always see upsets. There's always upsets, even from F tier to S tier. There's always upsets. But I have them very solid mid-pack team. This year is just not really impressing me with, like, roster building. I feel like there's a lot of, like, good teams, but they're not, like, going to get over that hump, if that makes sense. I just feel like there's a lot of, like, average teams, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. As I take a sip from my water here. Sorry for that dead air. Yeah, so Rocker's just a pretty... I was not really high on the roster, and I'm not going to let the Monster Invitational influence me, but they do have good pieces. It's all about how they just put together. It's a team that has collapse potential. Mamba's a very good player, though. I kind of feel like Mamba is like a very good player to keep like the ship above the tide and not let it sink. I feel like Mamba is a very good piece that they added in here. And if we get this version of Skies all year, who's actually in the mix more, sometimes you could argue keeps the sniper out too long, but he makes a lot of plays with it. You could argue this team could like actually maybe do something. Like it's a very exciting time for Rocker, but you could also say it's like too early. Maybe they got lucky because it's too early. We're literally 8 days into the season. Not even 8 days into the season, 8 days into the game coming out. But they do have good pieces, but a lot of other teams have good pieces. So who's to say other teams aren't going to get better and make them look worse, you know? So they could just be in that mid-pack coasting. I kind of want to put them in B, I'm not going to lie. Maybe that Monster Tourney actually did influence me a lot more. I'll come back to it. I'm going to put Koi. So Koi up next. A very good team. Joe Deceives, Kleenex, Real. I mean, that trio is just absolutely insane. But from what I've seen this weekend, I tried to defend Insight. I've defended him all Black Ops 6 with the way he plays. Like, it's very beneficial to the team. That's why people keep playing with him. But for some reason in this game, it just makes... He stands out like a sore thumb. He stands out like a sore thumb in this game. And his lack of interactions in this game really, really do affect the team. I'm not going to lie. And it makes them look even worse. It makes them look like an average team. They lost a lot of games to a lot of like average teams that I feel like they should have beat. Like teams that shouldn't be on their level, and they were losing to them. And I feel like Insight's an anchor. And my hot take is that Insight is going to get subbed out sometime this season. I feel like at some point they're just going to be like, we need a better AR. All we need is for one AR. One AR in challengers out there. Any of you ARs, if you have a good stage 1, I promise you, you will get picked up. Like right going into stage 2, I promise you. If Koi has like a bad stage and Insight's not playing that great, and there's an AR and challengers flipping, flopping, flying, that guy will be getting picked up. They have a very good trio. Insight, I'm not sure if it was a last second decision. I was thinking of a million different people they could have picked up besides him. No offense to Insight. But this playstyle that he has, it's not flying in this game. It could fly in previous years. In this game is too quick, dude. This game is too quick. I'm not saying everyone has to just run around like chickens with their heads cut off, but this is just a way different game. Like the pace you have to match. If you're not matching that pace, you're literally useless. Especially like in game modes like Overload. You can't be slow. And when Insight takes out the sniper in S&D, he gets even slower and even more detrimental. And just like the way he plays sometimes, you get to see the way he plays and lack of interactions. And I remember watching a scrim. There's like a scrim or it was like a hardpoint tourney. It was either a hardpoint tourney or a scrim. I think it was a hardpoint tourney maybe. And I remember Joe DeCeves looks up at the scoreboard and everyone else has high interactions, and then there's Insight with like significantly lower interactions, and Joe is like sort of like making fun of him, kind of calling it out, like, "Damn, Jamie, like what the heck is going on?" Like he was like doing that stuff, and Jamie's like, like just that type of stuff. Everyone's very aware of his lack of interactions, and I think it's going to be even more evident this year when you have teams like Rocker that are just flying at you, Snoopy, Boston Breach flying at you, Lurks, Craze flying at you. Like, that stuff's going to like really make him look way worse, and you see it in the scoreboard almost every hard point. Everyone on this team's like at 19, he's like at 9, 10. It's like it looks really bad when his interactions are so much lower than every team. If you take a look at OpTic, take a look at everyone on OpTic. Everyone on OpTic pretty much almost has the exact same interactions at every stage of a hardpoint game, unless someone's like super duper taking over and they're way further ahead. But everyone is like in the mix. Everyone plays together off each other. They have to adapt that. This guy can't play slow forever. Who is there to like shake him and like talk him into like playing faster? It is like not that hard, It's not that hard. You can still do your job playing slower and still be in the mix more. There's a way to play slower but still being in the right spots to where you still catch a lot of interactions. He needs to figure that out. And I feel like Koi's going to be, honestly, if Joe DeCeves is on that team is probably going in C tier. I'm not going to lie, but Joe is just the truth. Kleenex is Kleenex. Real's only going to get better as the year goes on. Just that trio alone, have to put him in B tier because they're going to be contesting more with like the better teams. I want to say. They pretty much played average people all weekend, and they just lost to all average people, so it was very hilarious. So, guys, up next, I'm going to go with the Vegas Falcons. And I'm putting the Vegas Falcons in the F tier. I was going to put them in the F tier all by themselves, but Vancouver really did a good job of convincing me that they deserved to be there too. Like, they really wanted it bad, so I put them there. Vegas Falcons. Once again, great players, but the dynamic is a team. This is a team game at the end of the day. It's not an individual game. If it was a tier list of an individual skill, probably no one in the F tier. They got AG. They got Celium. They got Kismet. They got Xnid. The dynamic there is very bad. I feel like Kismet and Xnid sometimes are the ones playing for the win. I don't know. I have to go back and watch their game against FaZe and their other game against whatever to get a proper consensus. I didn't watch those games for some reason. I don't know where I was. Didn't watch those games. But I heard AG had like a positive KD in the hard point. They still lost. And I'm like, that sounds about right. So let me get into the Vegas Falcons. I talked about them before, months ago when they had the rumored roster. This dynamic is just not good. And I'm trying to figure out what their idea was, because I'm not sure if they're trying to build around Xnid or they just... If their idea was to get a team that they want to win, this was not it. And whoever's idea it was to put that together, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you need to be fired from your job if your idea was to put this team together to win. This is not a winning formula. This team is not a winning formula. You can't just grab players that are good at the game and throw them together. There needs to be a dynamic there. Xnid and AG, Xnid and Pred. I'm sorry, I should be calling him by his actual gamer tag. Xnid and Pred is not a good duo. I don't care if they're getting along. It's not a good duo. The way Pred plays, and he could deny us all he wants, but I know it's true. OpTic was the only team, and like barely, and we saw that collapse real quick. And more specifically, Shotzi. Shotzi's the only player. He maybe could say Hydra, but Shotzi's quite literally the only player that AG would gladly, I'm not even going to say be selfless with, but I feel like if he had to choose, Shotzi would be the only player he would actually take a sort of backseat to like enabling. But obviously they didn't have an MW3. They paid a lot of money for him, so Shotzi had to find a way to adapt. I can tell you right now, without even talking to him, this is not inside information. This is just me and my hunch and knowing what I know about the players and the player personalities. When AG feels like he's the best player on the team and the other players aren't as good as him, obviously he thinks MC is good, but we're talking more about like the Kismet and the Xnid. He is going to regress to that play style where he just like does what he wants, and it's very detrimental to the team, and it's like not playing for the win. I hope it doesn't get to the level of the EWC Team War game I saw in Black Ops 6, because that was absolutely horrendous. That was literally a guy not even playing the game. He was literally doing his own thing, getting kills, running away from the hill, even when he's the only guy there. Like, it looked like he was trying to throw the game for his team. And on this team, he can like Exit all he wants, but I already know he thinks Exit's nowhere near his level. So instantly that dynamic ruined. In terms of in-game play, Exit's going to be doing all the OBJ. Pred's going to be doing a lot of his own thing, a lot of island play, but not the type of island play where it's coordinated with the rest of the team. Kind of just doing his own thing. There's a lot of times it's going to work because AG is an S-tier skilled player, but he is an F-tier teammate. He's an S-tier skilled player, but he's an F-tier teammate. And he does not really make other people around him better. The only time that happens is when he's just like slaying out so hard. When you're slaying out so hard, opens the map for your team. But what he does and what is required of everybody else in order for him to just like be able to do what he does, people got to do like double the work. Exa got to do double the work. Kismet got to do double the work. And that the other part of the dynamic is now MC. And I could probably say the same thing for MC. He doesn't have a BZ or Simp around him. Even when he had them around him, he was still playing slow sometimes. MC's on this team for a bag. I don't care what he says. He was not on this team. He didn't join this team because he thought he could win championships. There's no there's no way this fool thought he was going to win championships on this team. Like, he could tell me whatever he wants. I already know it's not true. Getting paid very well. Very happy for him. Secure your future. Good for you, brother. It's awesome. He did not join this team to win championships. If anything, he's just playing just to play this year. So you got two guys on the team that are pretty much in La La Land, and then you got Exit and Kismet, who are basically going to be working overtime to try to win the game. And Clay, 3-time world champion. I don't see how he pulls this roster together. Because after what I saw from AG at EWC, it's very clear, like, whatever they're trying to tell him, if they're telling him anything, is clearly not getting to him. If I saw a player on my team play the way, I will never forget that match. I will never forget that match. Like, you guys have to go back and watch. I made a YouTube video about it. It was Falcons against Team War, EWC Black Ops 6. Go and watch the Hacienda Hardpoint. That map will live in my mind forever. If I saw any one of my players, if I was a coach or an analyst on a team, and I saw any one of my players play like the way AG was playing, I would never want him on the team again. I would never want him on the team again. He was quite... Dude. I don't want to say literally again. I don't know any other word to say besides trying to throw the game for his team. Looked like he was playing a pub. Only playing for kills, not even trying to get on the hill, not trying to do anything. He was taking 30-second routes around the map with no benefit to the rest of his team. He was avoiding anywhere around the hill. He was playing for absolutely nothing. He was playing for an imaginary top slayer like reward thing that everyone was saying that he got, but he didn't get. Absolutely inexcusable. They have an off season to get people. Obviously, there's people they couldn't get. They wanted to get scrapped before. That didn't work. Etc. Etc. They got Kismet on a flex with MC. The whole dynamic, the team chemistry, MC, Xnid, Kismet, Pred. Do you see any of those guys besides maybe Pred and Xnid hanging out outside of the game? Do you see Kismet and Xnid? Like, I don't see MC. I mean, maybe MC. I don't see MC and Kismet hanging out. I mean, I could see him and Pred hanging out because, you know, they got to know each other. But it's like, just the chemistry wise, it's just like the dynamic's not there. I don't see Kismet and Pred for getting a drink together. Same way I didn't see Kismet and Dante also getting a drink together. The whole dynamic of the team, the roster selection, It is all an F tier to me. It screams F tier. Probably a team that's not going to make a roster change because two of the players they paid a lot of money for, Xnid, franchise player. I'm assuming they're never going to get rid of him. Kismet's the only expendable player, but why would you get rid of Kismet? Who are you going to get for Kismet to make this team want to win more? Nobody plays for the win harder than Kismet does. So it's like, who would you replace him with to try to get the team better? So the team's going to stay the same and it's just going to suck all year. They may have upset potential because in this game, movement, there's a lot of potential for takeover potential, especially with some of these maps. But just dynamic issue, I can't wait to watch when the season starts. I can't wait to see all the things that they do wrong. It's going to be S tier entertainment for an F tier team. But the whole dynamic is messed up. You got two guys pretty much collecting a check. You have a guy that wants to win, but he doesn't have the right pieces around him. And then you have the franchise player who's still trying to figure it out and has players around him that aren't enabling him. If you wanted to build a team around Xnid, that's where you get players like Riyadh. Even though Riyadh always wanted to join Koi. He wanted to join him last year. He was not allowed to. Find players that could get the best out of Xnid. A player that he could bounce off of. An SMG that he could actually have a very nice relationship with. Abe would be a great player for Xnid. I feel like they would have a very good dynamic. Abe would definitely join that team because, didn't have any offers except for Vancouver. You go on a Falcons with Xnid, great team, great org, take great care of you. That would have been a great dynamic. Even Nero next to Xnid, great dynamic with an SMG. Nero would get to use an SMG. You could have kept Kismet, put Nero on a flex, and maybe just had MC. It's fine to just have MC, but having MC and AG in the same team is just screaming for an absolute no-no. Just an absolute no-no. Those two together is not good. It's not good. If one of them was gone, I prefer AG being gone. If it was just MC, you have a very solid AR that could get kills, and then you just pair three complete pacey players that could actually work. Xnid, Abe, and let's say Xnid, Abe, and Lurks, or something. Some sort of crazy. You could have partnered Abe and Lurks and had Xnid there, and that's a team that definitely could have figured something out. I don't know, something like that. There's definitely things you could have did. You could have got Mamba and Craze. Imagine you got Mamba and Craze and MC. You could keep Mamba and Craze together, have Chem there, MC, Xnid. There's so many different things that they could have done. Just absolutely mind blown with the way this roster got put together. It's actually quite literally shocking to me that they actually think they're going to win championships with this roster. They're definitely going to be doing more roster changes in the offseason for sure. If you want to get the best out of Xnid, he can't play with Pred. He just can't play with Pred. It's literally just that simple. If you want the best out of Xnid, he can't play with Pred. Pred's meant for another team. Pred's meant for another team. He's not meant for this team. He's meant for another team. They obviously got him when he was available, but you're not going to get the best out of Xnid. You're never going to get the best out of Xnid when Pred's on the team. You couldn't get the best out of Shotzi with Pred on the team. I'm not going to even count the Champs victory. It was just a series happens. Everyone was frying. But majority of the time, Shotzi was not playing good with AG there. AG's just not a good player. I'm sure practice, they're not even going to get better in practice because AG's not a good practice player. So just so many dynamic issues. AG, I don't want to say it's a waste of talent because he's won championships. He's literally won a world championship. But if he had a better mentality and more open-mindedness, this guy would not even be on the Falcons right now. He would be on Koi right now, or an LAT. But he's just a very one-dimensional player. And when you're a one-dimensional player and other teams need a better dynamic around a certain superstar on their team, you're just not going to get picked up on those teams. So, yeah. Had them in the F tier. I kind of want to put, who's at the bottom of the F tier? Surge or Falcons? I kind of just want to put Falcons because I'm annoyed they put the roster together, so I'm just going to keep them there. Up next, so we're in the top 4. We have LA Thieves, Mates, OpTic, and Vegas. I'm going to do FaZe Vegas, okay? I'm going to do FaZe Vegas. I'm going to put Vegas in the B tier, at the top of the B tier. So I could go on a long rant about this FaZe team. I really could. Very bad showing in the Monster Tourney. Had some upset losses. But one thing that was very glaring to me about seeing FaZe this weekend is how their hardpoint looks pretty much the exact same that it looked last year. And Simp looks pretty much the exact player that he looked last year in hardpoint. Very inconsistent, on the hill a lot. And there's just so many questions I have for this FaZe team. So many questions. So Simp comes out on the Attached podcast and talks about how they never really had a set structure, a system of how to play hardpoint. They were kind of just playing skill diffing, had close hardpoints, were edging him out. That's literally what he said. So it was literally like that for pretty much, I can't even say MW19 because it was like domination, but they did have hardpoint in there. But it's 5v5, don't count it. So pretty much from 2021 to 2025, no hardpoint system. And it's mind-blowing to me, especially with the players that they have, the great coaches that they have. How is this a thing? How is this a thing? I can't even how is this a thing? And how is a team as good as FaZe with the pieces around, even if you replaced MC and Abizi with Abuza and 04? How is a team with Simp and Draza this bad, this inconsistent at hardpoint? I don't even care if it's 8 days early, if it's 8 days into the game. The way they play hardpoint, I feel like they have the right idea, but they're still getting broken on rotations. They still can't hold hills. These are the same problems they've had for so long now. Not being able to hold hills, messing up on rotations all the time, scamming on rotations. And Simp picking up a player who's pretty much almost playing like Abizi, but he's a better fucking route taker. But Abizi had a bit more of a takeover to him. Pretty much the exact same player. Simp's still taking the bomb in S&D because 04 is a way better S&D player like without the bomb. So confused there. Just confused in a lot of different directions. Like they're so inconsistent at hardpoint. FaZe should not be a team that's striving to be an S&D team. They should be a team striving to load up into a game and teams are already thinking that they're losing map 1. But now this FaZe Vegas team has no aura now. Like Atlanta FaZe isn't scary anymore. It's not Atlanta FaZe anymore. It's FaZe Vegas. They're not scary anymore. Nobody is scared of them anymore. The whole intimidation factor is all gone. Simp's not the boogeyman anymore. And to be honest, if you want to talk about the greatest of all time debates, I think Simp's out of there. Unless he has a takeover year and wins champs. That could change. But in order to be the greatest of all time, you have to have a dog in you. Simp does not have a dog in him. I feel like he's all bark no bite. He says a lot of things he says he talks about how good a player he is, but then you see on the map, he doesn't really have that many takeover games anymore. He's still such a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's an S tier player. Let's not get it twisted. But he doesn't really have superstar games. Let's talk about MW3 Rio. And it was after Simp got announced as the MW3 season CDL MVP. And he goes against Hydra. And Hydra's mad Hydra didn't get it. That's a superstar game. It's literally the two runners up for MVP going against each other. Hydra went into that game dude, I literally should have won MVP. And he spat all over that Atlanta FaZe team. And he just took over that whole game and made Simp look like he shouldn't have been the MVP. Those are the type of moments where you have to have the dog in you. And I know it's only 8 days in the season. They have a lot of time to figure it out. But I don't even want to have the benefit of doubt because I've talked about FaZe for years and how they're way too good. Give them the time to figure it out. They'll figure it out. And then they just time after time again do the same stuff in hardpoint that just never works and they fuck up. And I just can't keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I have to just put them down in the B tier where they actually belong. And for some reason, I'm very high on Draza. Draza is probably the number one player in the league I would love to just, obviously besides Hook, but the number one player I'd love to coach. Great personality, grinder of the game, very good player. But for some reason, he's been looking very inconsistent for a while now, dating back to last year. A while, been looking very inconsistent. You take S&D away, respawns. He has not been that great in respawn for like almost half a year now. What is going on there? What is this whole dynamic going on? Abuza, I still think is a very good pickup. My question marks have always been with 04, and not because I don't think 04 is good. 04 is a very good player. But how is the dynamic any different from with Abizi? You should have kept Abizi and picked up Abuza. Honestly. If Sim's still going to take the bomb, still, like, a lot of times, because Abuza does take a lot of the hill time, which is another benefit to Abuza. Not only is he a high interaction main AR, but he gets in the hill pretty much all the time. Or at least whenever he can. That whole dynamic is chalked. Simp is just still trying to find his footing, I guess. And I really hope he can find it this year. 04 definitely has to switch up his playstyle. I kind of don't want it to happen because I kind of want to be right. But I actually want to be proved wrong. I really do. The FaZe Vegas dynamic is really, really bad. And I don't even want to like get ahead of myself because we're only like 8 days into the game. I'm not one of those people that's already like OpTic 5P over like just 8 days into the game. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this team, they showed out against the Falcons. Congratulations. Falcons is an F tier team that doesn't know how to play the game together. So you should beat them and beat them pretty handily. And they did. But the second they even got to an average team, they looked like complete noobs. Like, some people were even saying their hardpoint was good. I don't think so. And we'll go over it sometime during the week on my streams. Make sure you tune into those. Twitch.tv/burritos on YouTube and Twitch. But yeah, they're just an average team. I feel like they're just going to be an average team. I feel like they're going to lose to a lot of teams. I don't see them beating the people above them at the moment. That could change. I would not even be surprised, even though I know it's not going to happen because FaZe Vegas has never done this ever, but make like a mid-season roster change. They've never done that ever. I don't think they've ever done that in the CDL era. They've always stuck with their team all year. They've never made like a mid-season roster change ever. It's never happened, which is very interesting. We'll see if that happens this time. I don't think it will because, I mean, like they got Twin. It seems like they all have a very good dynamic. They're all very happy to play with each other. They're all pretty confident of what they can do. They obviously got a lot to work out. But early signs, they're just an average team. How is 04 any different from Abuza, from Abizi if Sim's still doing the exact same stuff? It makes zero sense to me. I'm not sure if now Simp just wants to be like this type of player that does it all. I know he kind of takes pride in it. I've heard him say something about doing it all before. I just don't know. Draws has been looking very inconsistent. 04, very good player, but can be inconsistent. And the other point I want to bring up, because obviously it's rumors, but the more and more people that say it, the more I actually believe it's true, and the more and more people that like say it that would actually like know something, the more I actually believe it. That like Kason didn't want to pick up Neptune because at EWC and Black Ops 6, Neptune was already trying to like see what his options were, and Kason didn't like that and said this guy's never going to be joining FaZe because of that. If that is the reason why you didn't pick up Neptune, you deserve to lose this year. I'm not even going to lie. With all due respect, there is no world, and I was even mind blown in the offseason months ago when I found out like they weren't going to do it. There is no world that you should not be picking up Neptune over 04. There's no reason. The only thing I could really think about is that like 04 and Abuza were like really a duo and like really had good chem together. So you're bringing the Drazen Simp and the 04 and Abuza. You're bringing two duos together. So you got the chemistry that just intertwines into a nice quartet. That's all fine in rainbows. But Neptune brings a lot that 04 does not bring. He's still good at S&D. He's way better at respawn. He's more of a slayer. And the biggest factor that you should have got Neptune over 04. Neptune has takeover ability. Not saying 04 doesn't. 04 has like some games where he's like taken over, but haven't really seen him do it against like the better teams in the league. I've seen him do it against like the mid pack. Haven't seen him do it against OpTic or LAT or even like a Miami. Haven't really seen like a super takeover game from him. Neptune can take the bomb in S&D. He did it last year with 04, even though this year Envoy's taking it because Envoy takes pride in that. Great. Neptune could take the bomb. Neptune's better at respawn. Neptune can play more direct. Neptune can not only play direct and get on the hill more, but Neptune is a very good flanker, very good pincher. That's one thing like Simp's not trying to do, or like he does sometimes, but when Dross is inconsistent, when Simp's inconsistent, you need that other person you can depend on in the slaying category, in the engagement category. And Neptune will be perfect engagement-wise. And we're seeing how Neptune is right now. He is literally him right now. Imagine if he was on FaZe. Neptune and Simp. Abuza and Draza. That sounds like a way better team. That sounds like a team I would be throwing in the S tier or high A tier. That is a team where no matter who is slacking, there's always someone there to pick up the slaying. Abuza could pick it up, Neptune could pick it up, Simp could pick it up, even Draza could pick it up, regardless of how inconsistent he's been right now. There's takeover potential there from all four players, and that would have been another Giga Chad team. Neptune's almost pretty much a better version of a BZ and does more for the team to win. That would have been a way better pickup, honestly. And the fact they didn't do it over some petty like decision, ridiculous. What do you think Neptune is going to do? He knows that Surge team wasn't sticking together. Why would he not go looking for options? No problem with getting ahead. It's business, man. I'm sure if Neptune was on OpTic, I said this point before, I'm sure if Neptune was on OpTic or LAT, I'm sure he's not secretly shopping around for decisions. But that org was chalked. And they weren't going to keep him, and he already knew it. He already talked about it before. So it's like, why would he not try to find better options? Like, he thinks he's a better player, get on a better team, like an Atlanta FaZe. So why would he not try? How could you possibly hold that against him? And now he ends up on GentleMates, and a lot of people probably kicking themselves because Neptune should have been on FaZe. He should have been on FaZe. 100%. He should have been on FaZe in 04's spot. 04 should be on the GentleMates team. Like, it should have been like a backward swap. But that didn't happen. And now we're going to get to GentleMates. They took OpTic to the grand finals. This team is showing a lot of promise, a lot of like, so good, I kind of want to put them above everyone in like the B tier. Because we talked about dynamic issues they could potentially have, the attitudes of Ghosty and Dante, Envoy, Neptune. It seems like a very ratty team, but it seems like a team that their Achilles heel is themselves. Sometimes they beat themselves. Sometimes it looks like they overthink things too much. Sometimes it feels like they have a very big choking factor. Like, they're going to be choking a lot. And that comes down to like lack of chemistry together. There's a lot of things they don't do well together right now. Obviously, we're just 8 days into the game. They have time to figure out. We'll see more how they do during the qualifiers. But there's an extreme lack of chemistry. And even like seeing their streams, seeing how they talk amongst each other, obviously they know they're a team, so you know they have to try to get along. But just the chemistry, just player to player, doesn't seem like it's there. Like, I don't see Neptune and Dante getting along in the long term. Like, I don't see it happening. And Envoy, you know, there's just pieces I just don't see getting along with each other. I see Ghosty maybe headbutting Dante, but at the same time, they're both so toxic that, you know, sometimes two toxic people, like, intertwine and they complete each other. I don't know. So, like, maybe both of them being moody makes them, like each other more. Who knows? Envoy, very inconsistent in respawn, and it carries on into this team. Like, shocker, surprise, surprise. I'm contemplating to put them in the A tier because I saw how they played against OpTic. The way they played against OpTic, they were choking a lot, and obviously, as the game develops, they're definitely going to get better. I feel like they have the potential to be like a high-skilled team. I really do. like I was originally gonna put him in the B tier, but now I'm really flirting with the A tier because seeing the way they played against OpTic, there was a lot of times where OpTic could have just taken over, but GentleMates off of just pure skill was like keeping them in games. And Sib looks absolutely gross in this game. Not saying he understands the game yet, because like obviously nobody does, but from a skill perspective, like he looks like triple S tier in terms of just like some of the gunfights I see him winning. Dante and Neptune is enough of a takeover ability. Ghosty, a lot of big gunfight wins out of him. But the reason why I kind of want to keep him in the B tier is because they're very susceptible to losing to the other teams around them. It's like they could contest the high-end teams, but they could also lose to the low teams. But that goes for everybody. Even people in the S tier, the A tier, they could all lose to people around them. It's very clear that could happen. So I'm going to... You know what? I'm going to put him in the B tier. I'm just going to put him top of the B tier. I think they're better from FaZe just from a skill diff, but I think the dynamic and lack of chem is going to cost them. They're going to be contesting. Trust me, they're going to be contesting on Championship Sundays. I think we all know that. But they're very inconsistent. It's a team that could lose on any given day at any time. Like, I don't feel like they're going to be going through qualifiers being like 5-1, 5-2 all the time. There's going to be like some 4-3s in there just because, you know, like they just troll. I feel. But it's a team that I really want to win, though. It's a team I really want to win. They got a great coach behind them. I wish him the best. I hope he does great. But just overall, it comes down to dynamic. And are they willing to learn and get along and really build chem? If this team, okay, I have them in the B tier right now, but if this team gets along and they get good team chemistry down, they're going to win something this year. All comes down to themselves. They just need to get it together and really play like a team. They're so skilled individually that if they play like a team, it's over for like a 95% of the league. But they just need to find that. And the reason why I have them in the B tier, once again, is I'm not quite sure. I'm on the fence of if they will actually find that or not. And now we're down to the final two, OpTic and LAT. I'm putting LAT. It's going to come as a shocker, I know, right? I'm putting LAT in the B tier. You never would have expected that, right? You never would have expected that. I have LA Thieves in the B tier. They got S tier players. Abizi and Hydra are like two of the greatest S&D players of all time, but the dynamic there is chalked. I'm going to get into the whole dynamic thing. So where do I start with the whole LA Thieves dynamic thing? So let's start with Hydra and Abizi. How is that dynamic going to work? Because Hydra usually likes a sub that can enable him and take the bomb, play more objectives so he could go do his thing. Abizi didn't really do that on FaZe last year. And I brought this point up multiple times, and we saw Abizi. So, like, in their S&D, I'm going to be going all over the place with this, my bad. In S&D, you saw Kenny and Abizi alternate on grabbing the bomb, which I thought was hilarious, by the way. Like, Hydra and Scrub are just, like, never going to take it. It just is what it is. And they left it on Kenny and Abizi. The fact that in 5 years of playing together, Abizi never picked up the bomb for Simp, and 8 days in a Black Ops 7, he's picking up for Hydra. I don't know how I would take that if I was Simp. I know it's a small thing, and maybe like you offered like to grab the bomb and said, I got the bomb. But you see this guy in the first freaking online tourney picking up the bomb. What would you be thinking? What would you be thinking? I'd be kind of insulted. I don't know. If that's just me. Oh, Simp, you could grab my bomb, but like, yeah, Hydra's like a little bit too good for me, so I'm going to grab the bomb for him. That's how I kind of look at it, but obviously it's a dynamic thing. Like, I'm sure if he was playing with Joe, like, Joe's like an S tier player, but I'm sure Joe would love to take the bomb every round, just like dynamic wise. So it's each their own, apple, oranges, whatever. Dynamic in S&D is messed up. Kenny doesn't like taking the bomb, but he kind of has to if Abizi doesn't want to do it. So it's like we have two players who don't want to take the bomb that have no choice but to figure that out. S&D, kind of weird, but, you know, they have two of the greatest S&D players of all time. they can figure out that mode and beat a lot of teams. Respawn, I know it'll change because like the SMGs got buffed, but Abizi on the AR, I made a tweet about it. Abizi, when he runs an AR, I've been watching Abizi a very long time. I've been watching him since the beginning, actually, since Black Ops 4. Every time Abizi picks up an AR and Respawn for his team, he makes them significantly worse. He's a player who made his reputation off of being like in your face, head basher, take over Abizi, walk in, pop a 2. He's a Giga Chad. Taking out an AR completely takes everything away from Abizi that makes Abizi. And I've never seen a player look so much worse and so much different using a different gun, because you kind of feel like pro COD players should be able to use every gun, but he's just meant to have a sub in his hands, you know. Even on like the 3AR maps, like the sub bases, like BZ is like that true SMG that's should be always running the sub. And there'd be times on sub base, I remember he pulled out the AR and it just made FaZe look way worse. I felt like every chance he's pulled out an AR, he always does bad. Whenever he does bad with the sub, pulls out an AR, continues doing bad, he gets mad. He's just not meant to be an AR player. And every time he pulls out an AR player, his team is now losing pace. And you got to think in a team with Kenny and Scrap. I know Kenny got mad. I called him a mobile. You were a mobile last year. Hate to break it to you. Sorry. And I could tell you already knew it was true because it really hit home. We're bringing up like for fucking a month. And Scrap's a very fast player, but he's Iron Man at the same time. He preems a lot. Kenny, I saw Kenny playing with some pace like this weekend, but you know, not someone that everyone would think is like a crazy super fast AR. So when you have that dynamic with your ARs and you got a BZ now pulling out like a third AR, the pace is just not there. And Hydra's not like a head bashy sub. He's like very fast, but like he likes to play like a little bit more ratty, a little bit more flanky. So, you know, you got nobody there. There's like a gap in the respawn for a player to be playing direct and opening up the map for everyone else. And that's where BZ comes in. And I'm not saying he's going to run the air all the time, because obviously it's because it's early metas. Meta's obviously going to get updated. But definitely a player that needs to have the sub out. And LATs will get better. But I just feel like the dynamic in S&D and Respawn, just player personalities. Like, it's one thing to have 3 S-tier players and a good player in Kenny on the team. It's another thing to make all that work. Having the good players on your team is just step one. GentleMates is finding that out in current time. Having 4 great players on your team is only the first step of the hurdle. You have to be able to make it all work. And I watched LA Thieves last year. They had a super team last year. And they couldn't make it work to close out the year. They went into champs after a 30-day break between Major 4 and champs. And they had the same S&D strats on the same map. And they lost it multiple times at champs. Didn't switch it up at all. You know, just small things like that. It's like laziness, complacency from being too good. Like sometimes when like you're too good, you get very complacent. You got Kenny. And the thing about their team is that I think 3 out of 4 of their players don't like overload. I know Scrap doesn't like it. I know Kenny doesn't like it. I don't know about Abizi, and I don't know about Hydra. I think Hydra actually does like it because it's just like a play style thing. Like I'm sure he would like it. But half your team doesn't like overload, and like they're bitching and complaining about it. And, you know, that's just going to make everything significantly worse. They don't really look like they're going to be good overload teams. I'm sure just off of skill, they're going to beat 95% of the league in qualifiers like a lot of the times. But when it comes to winning the championship, I'm sure they're going to come up short just based off dynamic issues. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a run where they get 1 major, but they're not going to win champs. And it's so funny because if I don't want OpTic to win champs, who the heck's going to win champs? Is it going to be freaking GentleMates? Or is it going to be FaZe? Or is it going to be Miami? Who knows? Just a team with dynamic issues, and I'm sticking to what I said. Like, they're going to lose to everyone around them, kind of similar to FaZe, but I think like LAT is just a step above. I want to put them in the A tier, but I want to put them in the B tier just because of dynamic. I don't think, but it's like they have Scrap and Hydra, so it's like they should be in the A tier. Like, you know, like they should be. They should be, but it's just like not clicking for me. And we're just playing a way different game. just a way different game. But I'm sure they're going to give a lot of teams like the LAT beatdown, the LAT special. Like, that's bound to happen. They always give teams LAT special. I'm going to see if I move everything around after I'm done with OpTic. So OpTic Texas is the last team. They won this 75K monster tourney. The only team that looks like they actually play as a team, even with like the lack of reps that they have on respawn and knowing spawns, looks like they're way ahead in overload, in S&D as well, even though they didn't do anything special. Dude, OpTic is okay. So like, OpTic is obviously the best team in the game, 100%. They are the best team in the game, 100%. They're going to beat every fucking team here. Every team they're going to beat. I just have some question marks. And I'm not coming from like a taking down the green wall perspective, okay? They're clearly like the best team in the game. Don't have to be the number one CDL ESPN analyst / content creator in the world to know that. They are the number one team in the game at the moment. But I saw some kinks in their armor, because obviously it's like a new game. They could have lost like the Den Hard Point to Ravens first map. They obviously beat the Stallions. They 3-0'd them. They pretty much 3-0'd every team. FaZe Vegas stood no chance. That's why FaZe Vegas in the B tier. Just a complete average showing out of them. GentleMates the first time trolled 2 P3s. Dalby could have beat OpTic that game. And I mean, honestly, I was originally going to put OpTic in the A tier. I was going to say there's no S tier team because OpTic to me looked very beatable. But if I'm looking at it from a whole season perspective, OpTic is going to be on the higher end of this league for the whole season, whether or not I like it or not. They're going to be on the higher end. They're going to just win a lot of games just off a skill diff. That is going to happen 100%. Whether or not they close is another thing. But being in the S tier just means like being... Like, to me, being S tier obviously means to win shit. And they did win like the 75K Monster Invitational. But I'm going to go out of my way to make sure they don't win the majors. But they could wholeheartedly give every team on this list, all 11 teams, they could give the OpTic Greenwall beatdown, the 3-0 special. They could 3-0 every single team here, handedly, multiple different times. They could do it to GentleMates. I think they already did to GentleMates. Or maybe it was a 3-1. They did it to FaZe. They could do it to Miami. I'm sure they could do it to Ultra. They could do it to Boston. They could do it to Rocker. They could definitely do it to Cloud9, Ravens, Surge, Falcons. So I was going to put them in the A tier. I was going to say there's no S tier team. That's what I wanted to say. But I have to be a realist. Whether or not they win it has nothing to do with being in the S tier. But I feel like they are just miles ahead in terms of consistency. And even though I think they're very beatable, Like, they could have lost to GentleMates. They could have lost to Ravens. The second Ravens lost that first map. I'm going to explain, like, the Ravens thing because people might think I'm crazy. If you know, you know. Do you know, like, when you go into a game or you just know, like, those, like, bad teams that go into games already expecting to lose? Or if, like, you, like, let's say any of you guys, you went into a game already thinking you're going to lose because you knew the other team was just way better. But then as the first map's going on, you're like, oh my God, like, we could actually win this map. And, like, you're in pole position to win. And then you just scheme and then the team beats you. And it's like you got that false sense of hope, which, like, piqued your dope. And then the dope got taken away from you. And then, like, the next two maps, like, you kind of just gave up because, like, you thought you could win. Like, you didn't think you could win. And then when the match started, you thought you could win. And then all of a sudden, it's taken away from you. And then it's like, yeah, just, like, get the rest of the series over with. So that's what I think happened in, like, the Ravens game. In the GentleMates game, that map one could have been a little bit different, but it wasn't. They skill diffed everyone. I feel like they're going to skill diff a lot of teams. I feel like this is like the first time in a long time where OpTic is actually good at major qualifiers. Like, whoa. But, like, teams are going to catch up, and I'm sure teams are going to catch up, and whether or not OpTic wins championships is another thing. I am going to move mountains, and I'm telling you, I'm moving Earth and the universe, taking down the green wall, making sure they don't win champs. They may win a major. I don't think I could, like, really, like, get in the way of that. Like, I'm going to try my best. I'm literally going to wholeheartedly try my best because last year, you know, it was actually working pretty great. I'm going to try my best, but, you know, I want to make sure they don't win their home major. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going off topic. I'm actually acting biased. My bad. But at the moment, OpTic is so far ahead. Obviously, this isn't a tier list for this isn't a tier list for the whole. This isn't a tier list for like now. It's a tier list kind of influenced by what I saw because I kind of want to see how some teams are going to play. But this is more for like the season and where I think everyone's going to be. And I think it's just going to be like a strong B tier. And you know what? Actually, I'm switching it. I'm literally going to put OpTic in the A tier by themselves because this is how I pictured it like even weeks ago. When I was going to do this tier list weeks ago, I was going to put OpTic in the A tier all by themselves and I was going to put everyone else below them because OpTic is on a tier of their own. And these are my predictions for the season. This is a tier list for the season, by the way. So it's like you don't really know if they're going to be S tier. Last year I had them S tier. They're going 0-18. And then like they won like the last two events, and then like it was what it was. But I have them in the A tier. And there's nothing wrong with the A tier. A tier is great. But I do feel that they are beatable. And I mean, like, I already know some people are gonna be really mad about this, which is hilarious. I really want to put them in the A tier, but it kind of feels unrealistic to not put them in the S tier because there's like no other good teams. And when there's no other good teams, it makes like the good team look better. So I guess I'm just going to put them in the S tier. And I think one of the main reasons I'm switch my mind and put him in the S tier is because freaking Dashy and Merc, dude. Whenever like Hook and Shotzi do something wrong, the errors are just always there to bail them out. Like they have such a good pacing on the map that it's hard for other teams to follow. And it's like OpTic plays very simple. I talked about a lot of things that OpTic does, like the pinching that they do, but like teams are just having a hard time reading it for some reason all the time, having a hard time reading it. And I think the movement and everything is also something to take into account in this game, is why OpTic is just going to be like on a level above. But they could still be on a level above and still lose at majors, by the way. Like they could still be S tier and lose every major at some point, you know, like they could still be S tier because they're literally an S tier team right now. But if my predictions are right, they would slot more into the A tier, but it just makes no sense not having them in the S tier. But that's like 2 levels above everyone else. So it's like, you would think they're just going to win everything. You would think. I'm going to put them in the A tier. I changed my mind. I'm putting him in the A tier, okay? That's my tier list, okay? That is my tier list. This is my tier list. I have Surge and Falcons in the F tier. I have Ravens in the D tier. I have Cloud9, Rocker, and I can't even say Rocker. It's not Rocker. G2 Minnesota. My bad. I have to pronounce these names correctly. I have Cloud9, G2 Minnesota, and Boston in the C tier. In the B tier, I have KOI, who I'm probably going to put ahead of Miami. KOI, Vegas, Mates, and LAT in that order backwards. So LAT is going to be top. Mates are going to be second. Vegas third. Ultra fourth. Miami fifth. And then I have OpTic all alone in the A tier by themselves. And that is my tier list. That is my tier list. I was curious if this was going to go an hour because I was like already halfway through half the teams and I was only 20 minutes into the podcast. I may change this. I may change OpTic to S tier. Like I'm teetering. I need like an A+ level or like something. I don't want to quite put them on the S tier. Too early to tell. I could see they're very susceptible to losing. Like they're not invincible. They're not invincible 100%. But like no team is, and that's the great thing about this year. So I'm gonna stick with this tier list. I'm gonna convince myself this is what I had even weeks ago before this monster turn even happened. I was like, I had this whole tier list planned out. I was gonna put OpTic in a tier of their own, but not the S tier, and I was gonna put everyone below them. I already like knew I was gonna do that. I knew I was gonna put Falcons in the F tier. Wasn't quite sure I'm putting Vancouver there. Then they confirmed the roster, and I kind of saw how they played, but I was going to put them in there anywhere probably. But yeah, that concludes the tier list. I'm rambling. I'm yapping. There's not going to be any timestamps on this, so you guys are going to have to listen to this whole hour all the way through. Oh, poor guys, man. Poor ADHD guys. But yeah, the Burrito Talk is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and right here on YouTube where you're watching it right now. I have a lot of stuff coming. Follow me on Twitter. I'm tweeting. I'm going to be streaming. This whole 2 weeks in between like the CDL starting, I'm going to be streaming pretty much every game that happened in the Monster 75K and breaking it down, starting off with FaZe and Falcons probably tomorrow. So we're going to do that tomorrow, and we're going to kickstart that off. Going to be doing like a game every stream until we get to the last one, which is the OpTic series. If OpTic scrims, I'm probably not watching those anymore because it's scrims, whatever. I may watch depending on who they're playing, but I mean, scrims are just scrims, and they're going to hide the minimap and everything. I'm just more curious to see what they're going to do in matches. I'm probably just have to watch just to get tendencies down. But yeah, that's pretty much it. No inspirational quote. All I got to say, guys, is, use me as an example, okay? Use me as an example. If you guys saw, okay, so I'm going to pull this up on the screen for those of you on video. I made a tweet, and it was just a very innocent tweet when I tweeted it. I was just talking about Overload and OpTic. I was talking about OpTic, how OpTic's beatable, and I named some things, and this got so much traction, and I think 90% of it's negative. I haven't really looked at all the comments. I got quote tweeted by some like nobodies in like Australian fucking challengers, like, whoa, Captain Obvious. If OpTic is so easy to play against, why haven't teams countered them? These are clearly things OpTic does that people aren't reading, but that's besides the point. But take it from me, no matter what you do, people are always going to hate. People are always going to have some bad to say. And I took this as I am on the right path, because anybody in the world could have tweeted this, what I tweeted about OpTic. Anybody could have tweeted this and nobody would have cared. It would have got 0 likes. No one would even looked at it. I see it all the time in Zoomafia. A lot of people post hot takes. Nobody cares. Nobody likes it. Nobody replies to it. A lot of hot takes, a lot of crazy things people say in Zoomafia, no one sees. I tweet something, I get traction. I take that as a positive, regardless of all the negative. 216,000 views on this tweet. 211 likes. I got like 100 followers from this, by the way. Like, for like all the people that were like hating, I for all the hate in this, I got so many fucking, I got so many followers for this. This is hilarious. But just take it from me. The whole point of this, take it from me. I don't even know what I'm saying. My bad. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what I'm saying. Just move through the hate. There's always going to be people saying bad things about you. You cannot let the opinions of others dictate your life. And this is an issue I've had like my whole life, trying to like not care what people say, and not necessarily online, but more in real life. And I finally got to a point where like I just don't care, like the older you get, the more you just don't care. You just get more confident, you get girls, you get more confident, all this stuff, but this translates even to online. People are going to say bad stuff online. I watch people do really good things and still receive hate. No matter what you do, people are going to say something from it. The only thing I can take is that it's a compliment, that 216,000 people saw this, and there's 72 replies on this tweet. Like, I don't wait. Should we actually open? I should open it for Borito Talk. I haven't looked at this at all. I don't even know my notifications because I'm like, I'm not gonna post anything negative. See, the crazy thing is here, but still in the game. So if this is no way you thought you cooked, oh my god. Good luck keeping track of shots, seeing who come pinches. Just yapping. 2 + 2 = 4. Yeah, this is well done, bro. I seen you play. People are just insane. This nigga still thinks he's a coach. Yeah, people are insane. Clown behavior, slasher, Ravens, bro tank, slasher, Ravens. Oh my god, this is just toxic. Nigel, nigga, shut up. Wow, guys, AIDS for that. Yeah, but look at us, a bunch of nobodies. But just take it from me. Move with stride in whatever you do. Whatever you want to do, don't care about opinions. At the end of the day, everyone is in their own world. People could say bad things, but everyone's got their own lives to figure out. You just need to do what you want to do. And being the #1 CDL ESPN analyst and proclaiming that, saying with your chest, is going to to come with people who are like, who is this guy? But, you know, I just move with stride. You got to move with poise. You got to move with grace. You know, I've had a lot of people whose opinions actually matter say I know what I'm talking about. So it's like everybody that says anything negative, I don't even care. And, you know, you just have to get to a point where you're very sure of yourself with like what you want to do in life, that you're just confident. You practiced it. You're very sure of yourself, whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling. But yeah, guys, this has been another episode of the Burrito Talk podcast. I am Burrito, the #1 CDL ESPN analyst in the world. And we will see you on the flip side. Bada boom, bada bye. We'll see you next time. Have a good work week. See ya. Peace.